Hello friends, welcome to the part 3 of my actuarial sessions. And this is the last and the final part of this topic, data analysis. Let us move on to this slideshows where I'm going to deal with theoretical concepts, the last theoretical concepts of this chapter, and that is big data and the reproducible research. So moving on to the slides. What is big data for us? It means to describe data with characteristics that makes it impossible to apply traditional methods of analysis. For example, those which rely on a single well-structured data set, which can be manipulated and analyzed on a single computer. Now, what is this word which I have mentioned in the first point that stands traditional methods of analysis? See, traditional methods of data analysis is nothing but the exploratory data analysis which I explained in the previous slides. So what it was doing exactly, of which the EDA used to have 3 methods. If you remember, I explained about descriptive, inferential, and predictive. So out of the 3 given points, descriptive and inferential statistics are those traditional methods of analysis where you will just analyze the or you will come up with a retrospective analysis of a particular data set that will just mention what was the performance of the data set and how currently it is performed. So it cannot give any information beyond that. Whereas the opposite of traditional methods of analysis is nothing but modern methods of analysis. So that will be dealing with your predictive analysis and prescriptive methods. Okay, so this will help you to predict any emerging trends in the future based on the past and the current performance. So this is the main big difference between traditional methods of analysis and the modern methods of analysis. Now moving on to the second point. The second point states that typically this means automatically collected data with characteristics that have to be inferred from the data itself rather than known in advance from the design of an experiment. The example of difference between data analyst and data scientist explains this. So what does data analysis and data science means exactly to us? There's a huge difference. Data analysis just deals with reviewing a particular set of observations, okay, coming up with pictorial representation in terms of graph, visualization, or any kind of a chart explanation, or a table kind of an information, or a tabulated information. So this is what a data analysis exactly means to us. So data science is something which is beyond that. So that we'll be dealing with not just the reviewing part of your data. First of all, data science will be involving concepts like data cleaning, processing of the data, and finally refining the data and coming up with accurate and finished results, which will be easy to understand. So what does that mean? Pre-processed data means you will be given raw data. You will have missing observations. You will have blank spaces. You will have some numerical values which are not so good values. They might be an exceptional value, so you will treat them. Then you will analyze each and every variables and parameters of the data. If any irrelevant variables or parameters are given to you in the data set, you may discard it. So you have to look each and every aspects of the information or a universal information which you have got it from any source, refine it and see to it that you pick up only those set of information which is relevant and reliable for the viewers to understand. So this is what data science exactly means. So accordingly, the job of the data analyst and the data scientist will appropriately be defined in the same manner. But data scientist work is it's in huge terms compared to data analyst. So given the description above, the properties that can lead data to be classified as big includes for all the 4 characteristics, and the first one is size. So what does size exactly means in big data? Not only does big data include a very large number of individual observations, but each might include many variables. As I said, you will have different parameters to assess the data, high proportion of which might have null values or missing observations. So in case if you have any sorts of missing observations or extreme values or outliers or any discrepancies or errors, we call that particular data as sparse data. sparse data means an incomplete data or a raw or unrefined or a semi-processed data. Speed. Next is speed. So speed is data to be analyzed might be arriving in a real time at a very fast rate. So you might be dealing with live data, for example, from an array of sensors taking measurements thousands of times every second. So this example is mentioned in your material. So I would give a better easy example like, say you want to know about investment in share markets, or if you want to invest in a particular share or stock of a particular company. So the one whose guidance you are referring to, whether you want to invest or that is buy or sell that particular share or not, that particular informations can be made available provided if the real-time data or the live information of that share is collected accurately, considering the past, current performance of that share price. Based on it, how will the future share price will perform for that particular stock. So that speed at the same time have to be accurate enough, because the share price fluctuates every minute if you see in the stock market. So speed is the most important part to analyze real-time data, especially in this case. Next is variety. So big data is often composed of elements from many different sources, which could have different structures like raw data, semi-processed data, and finished data. So this is what we call variety. That is the type or the nature of data set is very important. Next is reliability. Given the above three characteristics, we can see that reliability of individual data elements might be difficult to ascertain and could vary over time. So in the case of speed, which I explained, live data information literally matters every now and then. You cannot just stick to the past and the current performance and come up with final results, because the future results future results or the future performance of the data set might also change, which might be different from the past and the current. So reliability will also accordingly fluctuate. Sometimes in the past the data was not that much reliable, and in the present data became partly reliable, and now in the future data will become fully reliable as new set of informations and relevant parameters and variables are gathered. Depending on the characteristics of any observations, any parameters and variables in a given data set literally matters, so that can make the data more reliable or not reliable. The examples of big data are information held by large online retailers on items viewed, purchased, and recommended by each of its customers. So there are a lot of softwares used by departmental stores and supermarkets for which they give an invoice on the bill for purchasing for the customers who purchase certain materials or any or if they have done any shopping, their information will be recorded. Their purchasing habits would also be taken into account, that if they are regular or frequent visitors to the shop. Next is measurements of atmospheric pressure from sensors monitored by National Meteorological Organization. So weather forecasters, say for instance, if I give that weather forecasters might use the live weather informations or live weather reports and give accurate predictions of what will be the future weather conditions in the next few months or in the next few weeks. The data held by an insurance company, which is the third point. So the data held by an insurance company received from the personal activity trackers that monitor daily exercise, food intake, and sleep, for example, of its policyholders. So insurance domain requires a huge amount of applications of big data, where the performance of a policyholder who has paid or invested some amount of or has invested some premium in the insurance company and applied for some policy. So what will be the performance of the insurance policy of that policyholder before or after any ill health situation if he goes through. So this was the explanations of big data. Now we move on to the reproducible research part. So what does reproducible research means? It refers to the idea that when the results of a statistical analysis are reported, sufficient information is provided so that an independent third party can repeat the analysis and arrive at the same results. So this is very clear that say you have a primary data which you have published in the website, and that becomes as a reference for the as a source of secondary data for the third party. So third party will refer it as a secondary piece of information. So they can repeat that analysis provided the informations or any sort of data parameters provided to them in the website is accurate and relevant. So even if they repeat that analysis or replicate that process, they can arrive at the same accurate results. In science, reproducibility is linked to the concept of replication, which refers to someone repeating an experiment and obtaining the same or at least consistent results. So replication can be hard or expensive or impossible. For example, if the study is big. So there is a limitation of reproducible research, that in case if your data is very big or universal, each and every analysis of the data or each and every observation of the data set or each and every parameters or variables of the data set, analyzing it might be time consuming. It might be hard also or expensive. Okay. And especially if it is a real-time data, the results will keep on changing. So you have to be very careful by analyzing such real-time data sets, especially when it is big. Next is next point in this first point is relies on data collected at great expense or over many years and is of a unique occurrence. That's the standards of a healthcare in the aftermath of a particular event. Now, moving on to the next point, due to the possible difficulties of replication, reproducibility of the statistical analysis is often a reasonably alternative standard. So, reproducibility is nothing but you are doing in fact a repeated research work of a data set and coming up with good interpretations of what was the primary research exactly explained to you in another manner. That is, someone has done some research in a particular field by collecting all the raw data. He has input or uploaded that piece of information or a research report or published it into some websites, and you are going through that website or you're referring like that multiple websites, because there might be different researchers working in that same field and they would have come up with different other sort of results. So you will interpret all those multiple researchers' piece of information, come up with all inferences, jot it down and put them together, and you will reproduce that entire data set in such a way that there is no repetition. At the same time, there is no repetition or there is no exact duplication of those work done, and at the same time creative informations will also be made available from your side if you are comparing it and analyzing it and reviewing it. Doing things by hand is very likely to create problems in reproducing the work. Examples of doing things by hand are manually editing spreadsheets. So there are limitations of the reproducible research work. So human errors naturally occur. You might be coming up with information by uploading them into a Excel spreadsheet, by manually inputting each and every numerical data into the Excel cell reference or cell address. Then probably while inputting those informations, some errors might occur, some natural errors might occur. The next is editing tables and figures. So rather than ensuring that the programming environment creates them exactly as needed, so whenever you're editing the information which you have already typed, even there also you can human errors might occur. Next is downloading data manually from a website rather than doing it programmatically. So downloading data, in the sense, if you have a very large data set, say it takes 1 GB or forget 1 GB, bits of 100 MB size of a data. Say you're downloading a huge Excel Excel data in this instance, where you have one sheet covering some 50 to 40% of information. So it will take time for you to download if your internet speed is slow, or the data itself is large enough to download, so it might be time consuming. In such instances, you can use programming languages, say in the case like Python and R, which has a facility to upload any sort of data without downloading it. You can upload it from real-time source of information from the websites. So there it might be directly available to you, and there you can carry out the analysis as usual. So this is one method of dealing with data downloading part. Next is pointing and clicking. So unless a software used creates an audit trail of what has been clicked, so to be very careful of all those pieces of information whenever you are highlighting any what we say in the case of visualization, graphical diagrams, you want to highlight one particular line of a multiple line charts, then that will be easy for the readers or viewers to understand that what part of the data are you explaining. So the software used, for instance, you can consider Tableau, where it deals with visualization of graphs. You will have multiple columns having different variables, and that would have been uploaded in a graphical diagram. So the graph might look very complex, and there might be multiple lines related to the different variables. So you can pick up one line by highlighting or clicking that line of that chart. So that line will get related to which column that I'm referring to in that spreadsheet. So this is one way of pointing and clicking and specifying that what you want to exactly relate to and what you're exactly explaining of a particular data set. The next is value of reproducibility. Now, many actuarial analyses are undertaken for commercial, not scientific reasons, and are not published, but reproducibility is still valuable. Reproducibility is necessary for a complete technical work review, which in many cases will be a professional requirement. Okay, so reproducibility is something like, I will not say that it's an exact duplication of work, because duplication of work will be exactly like copy pasting it. Reproducibility is like you are referring to some research work, interpreting it, and deriving your own piece of results or information, which is little bit unique and different from what the original research work is being done, but somewhere the results are accurate and same. The way you produce it and show it to your readers or to your clients or to your superiors, it should be in such a way that you're not exactly copy pasting your work just because you want to save your time, or just you want to for the sake of carrying out the research work, for the sake of getting it done, you are just duplicating it. No, that should not happen. So reproducibility should be in a very unique and in a proper manner. So reproducibility may be required by external regulators and auditors. Reproducible research is more easily extended to investigate the effect of changes to the analysis or to incorporate new data. So there might be a situation where you feel that the original research work done by some researchers from which you have referred to might be incomplete or somewhere semi-finished. So you will prefer to refer some other researchers who would have derived any other part of the data set which was left pending, and there also you will pick up or extract another piece of information and jot it down and join it with the original research work which you have done, and refer the sources of where you've exactly picked up these set of informations. So that will incorporate into a new data set. So it is often desirable to compare the results of an investigation with a similar one carried out in the past. If the earlier investigation was reported reproducibly, an analysis of the differences between the two can be carried out with confidence. So, okay. So there will be an easy comparison. An easy comparison can be done as what is mentioned in a very simple manner. The next is the discipline of reproducible research with its emphasis on good documentation of processes and data storage, can lead to fewer errors that needs correcting in the original work and hence greater efficiency. So not only just the research work which you have done should be sufficient enough to explain things. You should mention the method of how you carry out the research, what all sets of data you extracted, whether it's primary or secondary data, okay, and you will beautifully document it in or systematically document it with the source, the references from where you have picked up certain informations, or did you refer to any videos, did you refer for any interviews, did you ask for any questionnaires or surveys or feedback forms to be filled, okay. And considering the data storage of any information, especially in an Excel sheet or Excel sheet or any programming languages, you will refer to the size of the data. If it is very large, you will extract only a portion of it and explain it, because sometimes data storage also heavily matters. If you exceed the capacity, the data cannot be stored properly. So some piece of information has to be removed or eliminated if required. So that could increase the speed and efficiency of your research work. The limitations of reproducibility. So there are limitations as well. So it does not mean that the analysis is correct. For example, if an incorrect distribution is assumed, the results may be wrong, even though they can be reproduced by making the same incorrect assumptions about the distribution. So you have to be very careful that what sort of data are you are referring to. If the results are wrong, you have to check in the beginning itself that whether whatever informations, parameters or variables you have picked up, is it relevant? So will that, if that is not the case, then you can proceed with the work. If that is the case, if the results are wrong, if that is the case, then you have to change the data set or pick up another set of new data which might be different from this, or which will have no errors. So you can cross check and verify it by coming up or asking some guidance from other researchers who have already done a work on this. Next point is, however, by making clear how the results are achieved, it does allow transparency so that incorrect analysis can be appropriately challenged. So transparency is heavily required of that particular data set. So you can avoid errors and any flaws mentioned there. If any activities involved in reproducibility happen only at the end of an analysis, this may be too late for resulting challenges to be dealt with. It's another big limitation. For example, resources may have been moved on to other projects. So whatever I explained about reproducibility, one thing is very clear, that duplicating any piece of work or reproducing any particular research work are two different aspects. Reproducing any research work means you will exactly refer the previous research work carried out, but interpret your own results, which will be a bit unique and different from what other conclusions have been drawn. Though it might be same somewhere, at the same time, it has to resemble that you have done your own research work by referring to the secondary source or any sort of primary source. And this is what reproducibility exactly means. So, well friends, hope this chapter helped you understanding what are the different aspects of data analysis. So thank you. In case of any comments or any feedbacks, please don't forget to mention. Thank you once again.